Hello and welcome to Concrete Edtalks.
Hello, in this episode we have Mr.Sreenath Radhakrishnan, who is a senior manager at CBRE Bangalore. So, Mr. Sreenath, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Concrete Edtalks. How are you?
I am great, and I want to wish you and your audience a very happy New Year.
Thank you.
And let
Same
this
to
be
you.
a great beginning.
Great. That's great. So, can I know more about your history to becoming a manager at CBRE? Start right from the beginning. Our audience has time.
So, in 2012, I graduated from Anna University as an electrical graduate. Then immediately I started my career as an electrical engineer in a design firm in Chennai. So, in September I joined. Till the end of October, what I struggled to learn was how to fold different types of drawing. How to fold a A3 drawing, then A2, A1. But I have to admit, till I don't know to fold a A0 drawing properly.
And for those audience who are confused why it is important, only experienced people can tell you why it is important, because folding a drawing without making any marks is a talent.
It's an art.
It's an art, correct. Yes, please continue. Yes.
So then I was into residential projects where I learned about majorly about the electrical services of all the design aspects. Then slowly about from drafting to all space planning, HT side. Then moving on, I learned about the ELV, fire alarm system. Then slowly about the basics of firefighting, plumbing, and mechanical system. Then I slowly progressed to commercial projects, base build, then fit out. So after 2 years being in the design firm, I wanted to explore the other career options in this, and I always felt that I had some connection with the costing and this one. So I wanted to I have also the people who I looked up were quantity surveyor at that point of time. So in 2014, I joined Langton and Sia Consulting Private Limited, now which is a part of Arcadis company, as a assistant MEP quantity surveyor.
Correct.
So there I was posted in a manufacturing plant, which had at that point of time it had all the state-of-art technologies. So where I worked for 2 years in that post contract, and I got the opportunity to learn about more advanced technologies in MEP at that point of time. Then I moved to handle fit-out projects in Hyderabad. Then at 2017, I have joined CBRE, Bangalore,
correct,
where I had the opportunity to work in baseball, fit-out, residential, and data center projects.
That's great. So, if I were to ask you one thing about the experience that you have had, what is it that changed from working in a small or a mid-scale firm to some MNC, maybe like an Arcadis or CBRE, let's say? So, what changed, or what changes did you observe?
The major change is the structure itself.
The organization
structure. When in the small firm, when you work, you can take up everything. At that point of time, when I was very curious to learn about 21 years old fresher coming out,
correct,
we will have that curiosity to know things. Then we get exposed to everything. It's a small firm, so you can very few people, you can go and sit with them and see what they are doing, and the opportunity to learn will be very
high. Correct.
Here it is a proper structure is there. There are teams segregated for each and every thing. Correct. So that one limitation is there in a higher firm.
So if you have to look at like an advice to all the youngsters listening who are maybe students, what would you prefer at this day and age to start your career with? Do you want to get into the industry with an MNC, or would you prefer to join with a small firm?
That's a very pathetic question. That actually there is no correct answer for this. It's purely based on the individual.
Correct.
So based on their choices, whatever they make, but I will, at the end of the day, yes, they are working for money. But what I will tell them is if they invest first 5 to 6 years on gaining the experience and knowledge, it will be after that it's only pouring in.
That's a great word you used. Invest 4-5 years.
4-5
Because normally when we talk to unhappy engineers, they use the word I wasted or I spent. And if we look at time as an investment, I think that is the biggest advantage.
One of my favorite book is Danda, that tells about how Gujaratis do business.
Danda, all right.
So in that, in a nutshell, it's a story of successful Gujarati businessman,
Correct.
a diamond merchant, like different. So in that, the nutshell, if you see, they will say, okay, whatever new venture or new thing your business or you're going, be there for minimum 10 years. So you will see all the up and downs, and from 11th year, it's only an up curve.
Correct. There is this very similar, analogy with this community called as Marwadis also. So they tell, do it for 1,000 days. So in that 1,000 days, try to get money from someone, try to make revenue, try to have people, try to manage people, everything in that 1,000 days. And if it fails, which is approximately 3 years, let's say, if it fails, come back. If it is going, let it go. So I think, but okay, there is a challenge here, Rashana. The challenge is, we can say 3 years, 10 years. Is this generation that patient? That is one of the biggest questions that we also, as experienced professionals, see, that because there is so much available at such young age. Like 18, 19, we had nothing available. Maybe we had internet, and that internet also was 5 Mbps. Correct?
Yes.
So there is so much available to them at 17, 18.
Yes.
So do you think this analogy works with this kind of a generation who wants it quite faster?
It's an eye-opening question. True, what I had a smartphone at the age of 22.
Correct.
Before that, I had only dial-pad phone.
Correct.
Now everyone, even a college student, they are having access to
school
the
kids.
schools. Yes.
Correct.
Because for them, even the last 2 years, they were attending schools through the mobile phones. They are having access to the world what I had at the age of 22. So definitely, they can gather more information. They will, if you observe the knowledge, what they consume, what they have at the age of 21 when they come as a fresher, or when 21 or 22 or so, it will be more than what I had or this one. But okay, theoretical knowledge is one thing, but when you apply it practically or this one, that needs practice, time, habit. It should become a habit for you to this one. For that, yes, you need patience. Though it's not 10 years, like if we took 10 years, they may take it 5 years or less. But that time,
it will take. Correct.
Yes.
True. So coming back to your own journey, you started as an electrical engineering graduate, and now you are in a field which is very trending, basically the data center, which is very trending in construction. And as an electrical engineer and someone in construction, now that is, when we were student, if someone told electrical engineers will be a core part in construction, we would laugh. Like, why only civil engineers will be there or architects will be there? From where does electrical engineer comes? Because as civil engineer, we thought electrical engineering means they'll provide lighting and switch box. Correct? Similarly, electrical engineers thought, why will be involved here? We'll be involved in some other major changes. So what is it that, surprised you or shocked you when you entered core construction in terms of your fit outs, let's say?
Actually, my family is full of electrical engineers.
Oh, okay.
Starting from my uncle, my elder brother, elder sister, all cousins, myself, we all are electrical engineers. And each one of them, if you see, they are in their own fields of this one. Correct. My elder brother was in construction, but I was thinking, okay, being an electrical engineer, what he's doing in construction? Maybe he's not doing some work related to what he has studied. That was my opinion. But after graduation, when I sat with him, okay, what to do? In a day, he explained me, see, it's not only about cement, mortar and steel.
Correct.
A building has more things to
Correct.
it.
Correct.
If you want to, okay, you may desire for a big office or anything, but for you to perform the function in that office or house, you need proper air conditioning, proper lighting, proper. Okay, yeah, it is just a layman job to install all these lighting or anything. But what is that proper air conditioning? Defining the proper air conditioning and proper lighting is an engineer's role.
Correct. Correct.
So, then that was the moment that I realized, then we too can go into step into the field and we can also give a try. So through that only, I started my career in the construction industry.
Correct.
But when I entered also, I had a very minimum knowledge. I thought, okay, my scope, I thought it will be 95% civil engineers, only 5% MEP. But after coming, only we realized how there is a civil engineer, structural engineer, there is one dedicated engineer for mechanical. Mechanical instance, not only for HVAC, air conditioning, one for firefighting, one for fire alarm system, and plumbing and electrical we have. So it's a diverse field.
Correct.
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 It is a collective term for a diverse, segments in an industry.
Correct. So when we talk about this MEP, right, it says mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Now, one of the things that unfortunately is not being touched upon in mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and civil engineering has been MEP. This is something that, personally speaking, I got to know only after I entered the industry that, you know what, this is a sector. And I'm pretty sure this is the same with mechanical engineers also and electrical engineers also, where they think that it's not ours. But when they come to the industry, they are like, okay, this is actually ours. And that is something that even you went through, or because you had a family background of electrical, you knew it before?
Till I completed the graduation, I will take an example. We know what is a generator, what is a transformer.
Correct.
Whatever was taught to us was an ideal transformer.
Correct.
So I know what is a transformer, what is a KVA rating, all these things. Okay, we studied theoretically in college. Okay, we had a good understanding what are the losses in transformer. But if you ask me, how will you size a transformer for this building, for an area of 1,000 square feet building, or say 10,000 square feet building, what will be the capacity of a transformer required? At that time, if you ask a electrical engineer, though I was an electrical engineer, I don't know.
Correct.
Then when after, I would say in 2013 only, I was able to, we have, so this much will be the lighting load. Then when we go for commercial, we all see 1 kVA per 100 square feet or thumb rule they are having. So with that, this is the maximum demand. And it took me 8 months to know the difference between the connected load and maximum demand when I started my career. Though I had an electrical background or these things, to answer your question, I was also, this was new to me. Correct. Though I thought, transformer, they will give a transformer, we will just this one. But after coming only, we have to size the transformer. And it is not just about, if 1000 kVA is required, you cannot order for 1000 kVA. Correct. You should also look at what is the minimum consumption. Because you cannot underload the transformer to affect its efficiency. So only if you see anywhere, if 1000 capacity is the required load, they will have two numbers of 500. Because in a Sunday afternoon or something, the load will be very less. Correct. 200 or 300 kVA. You cannot load 300 kVA in a 1000 kVA. Correct. So for that, they will use one transformer. The same case for a DG.
Correct.
DG. They may have, the load will be segregated to, if my need will be segregated into two.
No,
these all where I learned after starting my career
in the field.
Yes.
Now, when you spoke about DG, now DG is something that I'm always curious about. I have one question to ask, and I wanted to ask it to a person who knows how it works. Because I've always seen DG, and they always use diesel. And we always have been complaining that diesel is bad for the environment and diesel is carbon emitter and multiple other complaints. And we have seen electrical generators also. to some extent. But DG is very core in construction, especially during construction. Because for temporary power, you have to use DG. There is no other alternative. Why is that there is no other DG, or is there any other DG? Is there any other generator with a different fuel, where there is petrol or kerosene or whatever fuel or biofuel? Because for cars, we always complain that diesel is bad for environment. We have to stop diesel cars. But for diesel generators, is there any alternative?
Even to you told the cars, we are complaining diesel. If you see, these all are recent trends in last
10 years. Correct.
So before that also we had this one. This is first thing is we for a large capacity or this one, diesel is being dominant.
Correct.
Now also come to smaller capacity, what we use for small shops and these things, petrol, these things are okay. But when it goes to higher capacity only, diesels are preferable.
Correct.
There are developments and these things are going for the alternate fuels and this thing. But if you ask for how economical it is or how reliable it is,
correct, then
diesel is the answer.
Diesel is the answer. And okay, so now that is something that, yes, because see, end of the day, what has happened? We as construction individuals in construction industry, there have been complaints in terms of construction industry being one of the most carbon emitted industry, especially in wild year construction. Cement production is bad for the environment. That's why they have started using admixtures. So all the basic things are being judged upon. This diesel thing is very intriguing for me, especially when I was working as well. Now coming to the journey of, let's say, MEP, right? So how important is it for even civil engineers to know about MEP? Now electrical, I got the perspective. So in your experience, you would have spoken to or contacted hundreds of civil engineers who have clue of MEP, and there is another part who have no clue of MEP. So how important do you think is it for civil engineers to know about MEP?
I will answer it from my experience.
Sure.
As I told, I started as an electrical engineer. But I know if I stick only to electrical, I cannot grow.
Correct.
Necessity and interest are two reasons for a man to learn anything or do anything.
Correct.
First, I learned about electrical. Why? In electrical loads, electrical load will vary based on the loads of other equipment.
Correct.
Mechanical loads and these things. For example, in mechanical, your AC load will vary based on your glazing. If
Correct.
It's a single glazing or a double glazing, your HVAC load will vary. And even
for people who don't know about HVAC, please can you explain what is glazing?
Glazing is the facade.
Correct.
Of the now we are all having the glass facades.
Correct. Glass
in
facade.
Building. So we have it for natural lighting and for the aesthetics, the building look. For many reasons we are having
and to use centralized AC. Correct.
So when we are having facade single glazing, single glass,
single layer of glass.
Correct. So more heat will come inside.
Correct.
Sun heat will come inside.
So
you have to
more AC
more
power,
air conditioning to have that comfortable air conditioning.
Correct.
But in case of double glazing,
it will cool down. There is a filter.
The quantum of heat entering will be less compared to a single glazing. So I don't want to.
So the amount of air conditioning given is less. Correct. All right.
So accordingly, my electrical load will vary.
Correct. All right. So again, coming back to civil engineers.
So the same way for civil engineers also, if a particular lighting or ducting or anything is coming, whether they have to do a camouflage or how it is going to affect their service. Everything at the end of the day are interrelated.
Correct.
For any civil engineer, if they are going to close the false ceiling, there are, as you are an industry, already you have an experience, we have a checklist whether we can close all these things. But when services are not completed, you cannot close it.
Correct.
So they should have the knowledge whether as per this thing, all these ceiling, this thing, tray should come, tray is not installed. Okay, I will close the ceiling today means it's not, it's a small basic.
We can do the fabrication, but not exactly the false ceiling. Correct, I agree.
And there is a tray going in the wall, where it's not yet completed, but you cannot close the wall.
Correct.
So likewise, you need to know first drawing, studying, and understanding the MEP is more requirement.
Correct.
But when you understand MEP as a grow, and you will be able to question it, and you will be able to provide alternative from your experience. No, instead of this, I can go with this one. At a site when they are proposing for conceal, no, I'm going with an MS conduit or this thing. No, why we should have a MS conduit for a conceal? We can go with a PVC.
Correct.
So these things, okay, it comes with an experience and your desire to learn.
Correct.
So these things are really a handful to civil engineers.
That's true.
This industry is dominated by civil engineers, and they should know about
the services. That I definitely agree. So I still remember the first time I encountered MEP as a team. Right, so I thought, okay, MEP is one engineer who will do these drawings or one engineer who takes care. So he's working in one of the projects, Cochin Airport Terminal, and we had a MEP team. So I spoke to them, and there was this raceway that we do, right? So for raceway, tiling had to be removed because one engineer had no clue how the services drawing work. So they had done the tiling, then the services drawing, we see there is a raceway in between. So we had to remove the tile and we had to lay it again. And that is where I realized, if we don't learn MEP, one thing is for sure, because MEP team is slightly different than the core construction team in the site, fights are going to happen. Blame game is going to happen. So how important is it for the construction or the interior contracting team with the MEP team? If they are same team, it's fine. But if they are two different teams, what do you think is the biggest challenge in terms of working harmoniously?
Since you told C&I team and MEP team, if you're only with C&I background or this theme, okay, if this is not there, we will go with an alternative.
Correct.
Non-availability of material, because C&I and architecture is more of an aesthetics.
Correct.
And enhancement and this one. Okay. But I cannot say, okay, if this light is not there, you put some other light here. I cannot say, because each light every space has its own lux level.
Correct.
A working space should have certain lux level. A meeting room should have a certain lux level. A cafeteria, a social hub should have a different lux level. So you cannot give an alternative for all these things. So I'm just correlating to your previous question, how well and civil engineers should. So MEP is more about functionality, which you cannot compromise.
Correct. It's necessity.
It's the necessity for the building to function. So C&I team should understand that. And if you see, even within C&I team, they may have their own difference of opinion.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
From a tiling team to this team, some other team, usually plumbing are undertaken by C&I only.
Correct.
So they may have their own differences. The thing is that they should understand how different MEP is. Each project is a prototype. Everything is different. Okay, in that project we did like this, so we will. No, it cannot happen in that way.
It's unique.
Every project is unique in its own way.
Correct.
So they have to understand the project. They have to understand, okay, what is coming, how it is. This thing. They have to understand their requirement. If any challenges are there, they should look for a win-win situation.
So we spoke about two teams now. So I'll just take it in another direction now. See, one thing that we have seen is in terms of the contract awarding of the projects. There are a lot of projects where both are clubbed together as in a tender basically. Both are clubbed together and given to same party. However, there are other kind of projects where, like you told, C&I is one tender and MEP is a different tender. So what do you think are the differences between a C&I or construction interior tender and the MEP tender? Or is there any difference?
Yes, there are differences. I like the first one, what you call, it's like a general contractor.
Yes.
Where you give to one person to do. There, if you are a client, you will have minimum involvement in that, because everything he's going to do.
One contractor will do all the works.
All coordination, everything they will do.
And easier for client because one point of contact.
But from a time perspective, it will take time, because he needs to have everything upfront. When you are going to float MEP, C&I, everything together, you have to all your drawings, everything ready.
And all your departments have to be strong.
Correct. Design drawings, everything had to be ready before this thing, and you have to roll. See, for example, if you are going to give excavation in the same tender, okay. So when excavation, civil and structure, electrical, mechanical, everything is in the same package, the excavation has to wait till all your package gets finalized.
Correct.
So only if you see, excavation will always be a separate package. And because when excavation is happening parallelly, design activities of MEP services and other things can happen. When so for this reason only they are going with
multiple packages,
trade packages, like okay, C&I we will award separately, electrical we will award separately, we will award separately, like that.
And do you think it is even for the clarity for the client also? So which contractor is doing mistake, they can easily catch if it is different trade packages. Is that one of the reason, or is it a myth, let's say?
No, it's just a myth. It's at the end of the day, client requirement is to get the
project done
as per their requirement and closing it. For them, they don't want to, okay, you are, if you are a client also, if you have found out that I have done a mistake, you're not going to hold me accountable for anything. If it's delaying your project or it's going to hurt you. The reason is, there are multiple reasons to choose this one. What is your risk appetite, or how time, quality, cost? These are the three legs of a project.
Correct.
So we have to balance all these three. Which is your priority? If time is your priority, you want to finish it at first, okay, we will go each package wise. Let the excavation happen first. So simultaneously, we will roll out C&I. Let him start the basic this thing. Then the electrical contractor come and put the conduiting and this thing. Let this rise. Then we will install all the equipments and ducting and this thing.
Correct.
Or if you want a cost, or cost is your priority, or this thing, see, I'm giving this entire package to you. So if you are giving more work, more this, or you don't want to involve too much in this one, then you will give us a D&B to him. Just you will tell him, I want this is my requirement. So it is basic. There are multiple factors to decide how you are going to roll out how are you going to make your procurement.
Correct. Makes sense. Now, in terms of, let's say, right, what kind of career opportunities are there for MEP, both for, let's say, electrical engineer and a civil engineer?
There are multiple career options. If you are very good at design, if you love designing, okay, you want to work out at the load, how much load this building will have, what will be the transformer capacity for this, how it should be.
Correct.
You can go as a design consultant.
Design consultant.
Or in execution itself. Okay, you have more managerial skills or people skills, and you have other managerial skills. Then you can go as the project managers also. And we have TNC engineers also, testing and commissioning engineers also, where we have prerequisite this one. Okay, this is testing and commissioning. These parameters are there. We are
of
achieving
all the machineries, equipment.
For AHUs, VRF units, chillers, for everything. And in consultancy also, we have multiple consultancy. We have lighting consultants separate to advise us on what kind of light fixture we need at each dedicated space. And we have as a dedicated HVAC consultant, BMS consultant, electrical consultant. So there are multiple options. Project management. This one, project management, is one of the vast area for both C&I and MEP.
Correct. Now, in terms of careers, we did speak, but now this is something that, after talking to a lot of students, I realized that most of the students are not aware of this consultant itself. So everyone knows a Shobha, a Brigade, a Prestige. Everyone knows a L&T or a HCC. No one knows what is JLL, CBRE, Cushman, or Knight Frank. One of the reasons is because consultants do only B2B. Consultants do B2B, they don't market it, they don't have a banner in the road, and they don't have their name in the project. But how do you think, is it for career opportunities in consultancies?
Sorry, could you please?
Yeah, in terms of consultancies, what do you think are the career opportunities, or do you think it's a big enough market for people to enter into consultancies?
Yes, it's a big market
Hmm.
because projects are happening, consultants are required.
Correct.
Consultants are the subject matter expert, whether it is a design consultant, cost consultant, project management consultant,
Any technical problem.
I said every project has 3 legs:
Correct.
quality, cost, time. If you see, quality is being monitored by the design consultants. I mean, though the project managers look into the quality report, these things of any projects are given by the design consultants.
Correct.
They monitor that as per the desired quality. And as a cost consultant, we manage the cost commercial part of any project, and the time of any project is maintained by the project managers.
Project management. Correct.
So there is consultancy, there are lot of scope for career options
in
consultancies.
Now you told about your division, which is the cost consulting division. So in cost consulting division, let's say an engineer is coming out in this year or say last year, fresher. How can they get into cost consulting? Because costing is something which is not exactly open to freshers. So they have to come through route estimation or a course. So how would you see that route or a career path for a fresh engineer right now?
As a fresh engineer, first to whom they should learn to understand the drawings.
Correct.
Study the drawings, take quantities from the drawings, and first going to, because we say as quantity surveying and cost consultancy.
Correct.
First quantity
surveying
important.
Taking of
the quantity. Okay. Then what are the services? How understanding the services? How it is, because we are going to take quantity from the drawing, from a 2D drawing.
Correct.
So with a PL line, I cannot, it's coming 5 meter. No, we should have the understanding and said, there will be a drop of beam is crossing here. Now we have to, the beam depth is given this much. All these understanding should be.
So for freshers who have no experience in site, wouldn't it be too much to ask, or is it something that we can ask freshers to assume that the beam will drop?
No, it's not a rocket science.
Correct.
At the end of the, it's just a myth that it's not for freshers or anything. Even we started as freshers.
Correct.
So I would not say that it's not for freshers.
It's expected by the company, right? So now, as a manager in now big firm like CBRE, I'm pretty sure that you would be talking to fresh engineers who have just come into your company, or especially in contracting side for sure. Correct. So in organizations like yours or any other big organization, what is it that you expect from these engineers who have come out? Because I'll tell you the context behind it. There has been huge amount of complaints, or let's say disappointment, from the corporate side that the quality of engineers is dropping, or everyone wants a office job, no one wants a side job. There are 3-4 complaints, and they don't stick in a company for more than 3-4 months. So as someone in a management role in a company like CBRE, what is it that you expect from these fresh engineers?
When you are assigned a task, just have the will to complete that and move. Whatever is it, you have taken a job. This is same to what they are not sticking more than 3 months. So that is what everything is. Now what they even have seen a couple of people, or I have heard even LinkedIn post and I have read, 3 months here, next 10% hike, 10% hike. So going, but what happens after 10 years of experience, they have not even seen one project. It's not about the number of projects, what you put there, the challenges that you solve. Risk management is one of the major subject in construction industry. Assessing and identifying and mitigating risk is so if you say big quantum of projects, say 23 lakh square feet, it means that what quantum of risk, unforeseen risk or HSE risk, these things will be there. So how we are going to address all this is that when you face it, it's not when you run away from it.
Correct.
And one of the reason I see lot of freshers running away is they are not able to handle these challenges or these things. For them,
Correct.
what I will say is to win in the game, just stay in the game.
Correct. That's a very good thing to say, because I mean, we stay in a company for 1-2 in our generation, let's say 2-3 years, and when I talk to my parents' age, they tell 2 years is less. They tell I stayed for 20 years. The same thing we tell it to the freshers that 2 months is less, at least 2 years. And that cycle keeps on changing for sure. So now in terms of one is staying in the game, one is just doing the job that is given. I think that attitude is something that we observe that it is slightly lacking. Because do you believe that it is something to do with the education that has been passed on to them, that you take this much marks, your life is settled, or you do this is settled? When they come to the industry, it is totally different. Like nothing is actually settled. So do you think that is also has a part in this?
No, I won't say the education or this one. The major part is the society itself. You are a NICMAR graduate, but still being a civil resource, your schoolmates or college mates who were taken up electronics or computer science.
Correct.
The way we started and way they started,
very different. Correct.
The first thing, when as a fresher, the first question, they are coming from their native to here. Okay, when they go back to native, the first question everyone comes and asks us, what is your package?
Package. Correct.
What, he is 1 year younger to you, he's earning this much, and why this much? That pressure itself, and even the family pressure. No, you have to this one. I have to see alliance for you. You have to go for a better job.
Correct.
Whether they are prepared or not, they are forced to do that.
I think more than prepared, I think whether they're passionate or not. Correct. Yeah, because I see a lot of civil engineers. So we are in talks with a lot of colleges. So when we go and talk to them in their final years, especially in the 8th semester, they tell that no sir, I joined TCS, I joined Accenture. Why? Because of course there is a financial pressure that parents are not so well off, that they have to earn, which I understand. Then there is another where again that patients come into picture, where they are not even patient enough to complete engineering and search for that 1-2 months job. So they take whatever job comes to them, 3 lakh, 4 lakh. And when we talk to them after 4 years, let's say 4-year, 5-year experience, we see a lot of them asking, sir, how can we come back to construction from IT? Because after 4-5 years, they realize, okay, I've made the money, but there is no passion here. So how can I try to come back? So that I think is a very good societal pressure. 100%. Peer pressure, which their classmates comparison, that society, not just society, the competition, it starts with marks, where competition is in marks. Once the job comes in, the package competition starts. I think once we get out of the competition and just feel what we want to do, that clarity will come into picture. All right. So in terms of being a manager, right? As we grow, this is one thing that I've observed. You tell me your observation and your perspective on this. As we grow in an organization, right from an engineer to manager or director, what I've observed is each step you grow, your management skills have to grow. And as a result of that, your technical skills are not so important. Where you just come for some decision making. So a project director won't be in the project all the time, or your senior director sometimes might not be answering each and every question, but they'll come for the most important questions. So is it something that even you feel like, because the site engineer will have to solve 100 technical or 10 technical problems in a site, or a senior director will be taking decisions on the project decisions rather than technical decisions. So do you feel like that is commonly followed, or is it company to company basis?
You told the higher role we go, the challenges what we see are
decision making.
We are not facing technical challenges every day. So we become what we see frequently.
Correct.
So the more if you're exposing the manager, senior director to technical these things, so he will be able to answer it.
Correct.
He will be, even if a site engineer who's not able to resolve a technical, he will immediately go to
the manager and
superior
then
manager.
Correct.
Only. They need technical skill. The technical skills are very much
Correct. But
important.
they
But-
don't practice it much. Like
Yes, they don't practice it much because their profile does not demand that much for day-to-day application. Their role after going up the ladder as a leadership roles take up, it is about bringing the best out of you and best from others.
Correct.
Team.
Correct.
So if my senior or my boss keep on taking all the technical decision, then
There is
I
no
will
requirement.
know requirement of me, and I will have no room
Role in
way.
the team. Yeah.
and I won't have no opportunity to learn. I will be like, okay, you just do this, do that.
Robot.
Correct.
Correct.
So once they step out this thing, only we can step out.
Correct.
So it's not that they cannot do or
No,
this
yeah.
thing.
So they can do, but
they can do
they are not
limited because they have other bigger things in their
bigger
plate.
responsibilities. 100%. So when we talk about management, right? So there is always this notion, and where people always keep saying, management skills, management. Technical skills is very like mathematics. Like 1 + 1 is 2. That is technical skill. Management skill is opinions, experience, handling egos, handling personalities. How do you see it? As you have grown in the firm, how do you see it being a part of what you do in your day-to-day basis? Handling people rather than handling work.
People management is a very important skill that is required, irrespective of the career what you choose. Because it was a myth when I started my career, it is only for marketing and sales people. But when you go up the ladder or something, it is very important. My opinion is that we don't know. I cannot say that I know everything in MEP.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
But if I face a technical challenge or something, I will go to a design consultant whom I have worked with or whom I know, whom I can trust or whom I can ask. So for that, people management skill is really important. How the way we treat them or the bond we share.
Correct.
And most importantly, this is not just okay, I come, I do my work, I go. I won't mingle out. Construction is more of it involves diversity, not just team, very diverse team.
Correct.
And we have to work in a diverse environment in a construction industry.
Correct.
So for that, people management skill is very important.
True.
People management skill define your success.
True. And one word that you used is really catchy, which is diversity, right? So construction when we are young or when we are in engineering, we feel it's something between client contractor. And once we enter, we realize there are government bodies involved, approvals need to be taken, vendors are involved. If project goes wrong, even public is involved. If you have to cut 4 trees, NGOs are involved, banks are involved. So there are multiple stakeholders. So people management, and we can relate it to stakeholder management. Correct? So like I said, management becomes a very important skill set.
Yes.
Apart from technical. And because in terms of my observation, I've actually seen a couple of good managers who might not have such great technical skill, but they have the willingness to learn. So if they don't know something, they'll be like, I don't know, but I'll ask someone and get back to you. But the way they manage people is where people under them don't complain that, my manager only doesn't know technical answers. So this is one observation which I would not say is good, but can help you sustain for some time.
I have read a similar quote from Tata. I mean, I don't know whether this Tata told, but social media. I don't want to know how to make a car, but I know who's the right person to make a car, and I know to manage him.
Correct.
So you said a good manager. So a good manager does not know to know all the nitty-gritties of how to get the things done. He should know who is the right person to get for the job.
So just like that, there is this one more example. So there was this one entrepreneur who had come to this show called Shark Tank India, which was very famous last year, right? So I think it was something to do with the metaverse kind of a thing. So the sharks asked him, what is your expertise? He told, so in the pitch, he told, I hired this coder for this. I hired this web developer for this. I had this salesman. So I've hired all the experts for these fields. So the shark asked, what is your expertise? He told, making them get the work done. That is my expertise. I don't know technically. Like technical, I know what to be done, what the client wants. That is my expertise. My expertise is making them get the work done. And that is something that, is so common in our practices, where there are some managers where even I saw one manager where in the morning he'll ask what is the doubt, what are the doubts you have, he'll clear that doubt. And in the evening he'll ask what doubts you have, he'll clear that doubt. The rest 7 hours of his day, from maybe 9:30 to 5:30, he'll just talk to people. What is the problem? Go to client, talk to the client, resolve any doubts, resolve any confusion. If they're angry, calm them down. If vendor is angry for payment delay, calm them down. Only that. So that was very, and that is something I'm pretty sure even you have seen with people, right? So talking about management, is it something that can be taught, or is it something that even if they're taught, they need to practice it to learn it? There is no YouTube video that can teach you that. Is it?
Yes, there is no YouTube video to teach it. You have to practice it. I mean,
maybe you can learn the theoretical part of it.
Theoretical part of it, and you have to practice it daily. I mean,
so in one day you can't see the results.
You can't see the result. And the way, if you are angry, the way I should handle you, I cannot handle this other person in the same way.
Correct.
Even to get a job done.
Correct.
One, we can say no. You have to ask them. No, you have to put do. We have to follow them twice. Either what is this one, but other person you should not do like that. He will get irritated and he will delay for this one. So it varies from person to person, but we have to have a basic this thing of understanding the values
understanding
of
the person at least. Correct. Great. So now, in terms of just giving you a info on this, so this is exactly what prompted us to think of adding some roles of management when we started Ascend, or in terms of our programs. Because technical programs, there are multiple, and there are courses, there are everything. In terms of talking to people, in terms of managing people, more than managing, it is more like building relationships, right? So I'm pretty sure in your decade of experience, you have that 1-2 people, 10 years back you knew them, maybe for 1 month you spoke to them, but even 10 years later they are still close. Correct? They might be vendors, they might be subcontractors, and sometimes you feel like, okay, I knew him only for 2 days, but still he's close. And I'm same with me. Like I know vendors from 8-9 years back who just gave me one material, but even now they send me Happy Diwali and on WhatsApp. I know it's a broadcast message, but if I reply back, they'll call, sir, how are you? Correct? So I think that is something that either some people have it naturally, or some people have to fake it, but that is the way to do it. Correct? So what do you think, like in terms of your opinion on this as well? So what do you think is, like I told, we at Ascend, we like to believe that no matter how technically strong you are, there needs to be some skills that need to be added on. Let's say a frosting on a cake. Cake is technical, but the frosting which makes it look good, the cherry, this is management. Like it makes it look good. Because no matter how good you are in marks, you might have IIT, graduate, whatever. But when you sit in front of a person and when you present yourself, if that charm of IIT is not there, then you're not valued, right? And this is what we wanted to do. So I wanted to know your opinion on the vision or the understanding of what you understood from Ascend. So you have gone through our website, you have spoken about our course. So what did you think of it?
No, first time when I came to know this through a seminar, then when I got through the website and this thing, I was quite surprised. School without any faculty, teachers, and this one, how this is possible?
Correct.
Then, okay, how you are doing? Then I also inquired with you. Then it told, okay, we are giving videos and then we are going to discuss. So what you are providing is a hands-on experience with this one. So the industry expert is going to share some values on this. At least if you are giving me a case study, if I know no, I should see like this in this perspective only, I may take up that case study. But when an experienced person says no, it can be looked in a different perspective. Oh, it can be looked in.
There are different
Usually
answers
classes,
also.
yes,
Correct.
for the same question. Usually in classroom subject, it is okay. This will be like this.
This is the question, this is the answer. Correct.
Straight way thinking. But when we discuss, usually group discussion and these things, we call it as brainstorming session.
Brainstorming, correct.
Brainstorming session. When one come up with the idea, okay, what is the pros, cons of this idea? Why this will not be there? What is a better alternative for this? Why this is preferred as this thing? Then, okay, our way of thinking will also
Develop,
widen. So next time when I take up another issue, it's like how will, in that last case study we presented this, they told, okay, this is the another opinion. So are there any other perspective for this issue? If we
it opens up your mind.
It opens up your mind, and this thing, that is for any problem, teaching, that is it's a wonderful thing. Because for me, when I took up this career, working on high side equipments was a dream for me. Because usually we will be given, when I started my career, okay, low side works and this thing. Because for high side equipments or selection, these things, we will do net worth analysis, present worth calculation, what is the ROI, all these things, which you need to evaluate all the options. Okay, what is the capital, for example, I will say about a chiller. What is the capital cost of chiller, water cooled chiller and air cooled chiller? What are the accessories that are required for an air cooled chiller? Cooling tower, these things. Okay, what is the overall capital cost? Okay, this much. Then what is the operation cost for all these things? So what is the operation cost for 10 years or 10 years? For each year, what will be the inflation? So we will work on all these things. Okay, so if I spend 1 lakh today on this one, for next 10 years, it's going to cost me this much. Whereas if I invest another, say 1.5 lakhs in this one, it is next 10 years, it's going to only cost me this much. So which is
better in the long term.
Correct. So doing this took me a lot of this one, because I worked with 3-4 times. I have to work on along with my seniors to understand this, how we are doing it, and what are the
different directions
that to
solve a problem.
It's not just okay, this is this one, you can go with straight away. We cannot say you go with the air cooled chiller. You can go with because capital equipment, these are
a lot of things to analyze.
Things to analyze from how will the facility see what are the facility challenges, whether the facility team will have any challenges, what is the wear and tear of that, how frequently you have to check. I want to go outside the subject. Say for car example, whenever now diesel cars are not coming, but when I inquired for a car, the first thing they asked me, sir, will you travel frequently, or how much will you travel, long distances will you travel? I said yes, because the longer distances you travel, they will recommend diesel car.
Diesel, correct.
And for shorter and this one, petrol cars. Diesel cars are usually 1 lakh rupees costlier than petrol cars. But if you see from a mileage perspective, diesel cars are
worse.
Diesel cars provide better mileage than petrol, and they are cheaper to petrol. So but for short, we are going for distances, they won't recommend diesel cars. So like that, you have to see. But if you see the maintenance of the filters changing, these things, that also you have to see. Because once you cover...
So when we are buying a car, we look at only price, mileage or something. But the real car lovers, they look at what is the torque, what is the performance, what is the suspension. How good are the brakes. So
no, I mean, like that, on how you are going to use, your decision will change. There is no, okay, I cannot say, okay, Ishant has bought a petrol car, I will also buy a petrol car, or he has bought a diesel car. You may travel frequently, you may travel for, say, 200 kilometers daily up and down. But for me, if it is hardly 5 kilometers, and if I buy a diesel car, per month you may cover up to, say, 1,000 kilometers, and I'm just 50 kilometers.
Correct.
And for me, changing filters and this thing, it's not this one.
Correct.
So, all these things, now you are giving that perspective now itself from an industry expert. What are the different
ways to look at the problem?
Look at the point. which was quite impressive, I would say.
I'll add to that also. So there is one more thing. I think I have not told you this. So we have one more way of teaching, or let's say learning, not teaching exactly, where we have role plays. So similar to case studies, we divide our cohort into teams. So let's say 15 students are there, 5 student teams. One 5 student team is a client, one 5 student team is a contractor, one 5 student team is a consultant. So every Sunday when they meet, they enact the whole thing like how it would actually happen inside with the expert. So there what happens, they get to know what is their fault, what is the other team's fault, and how to attack them. Because end of the day, we know inside there is going to be a lot of blame game also. Consultant will blame it on contractor, contractor will blame it on consultant, architect will take blame on both, anything might happen. So this is one of like fun ways to learn, because the real time what challenges come, how people act under pressure. So if contractor raises their voice, how will consultant raise their voice? So these are the things that we want to do with role plays. So we have actually had over 10 events here where we got engineering students to give them a gist of how role plays work. And trust me, that was the most fun they had. They went back thinking, you know what, this is how construction is, like this is how it is should be. But they were not taught about it. So that is also one of the aspects that we do apart from case studies.
And one more thing that was quite impressive was in colleges what you have on the incubation centers.
Incubation centers, correct.
Usually only IT companies and they increase that, but for C&I, I don't know whether any other this thing increase that.
So
that was also one of the
correct. There is no one else. Yeah, correct. So we do have. So what our vision was, see, we are in the heart of Bangalore, which is startup capital. Startups. Everything is startup. Like any problem in life, there is a startup in Bangalore, right? And this is the campus is between Koramangala and Indranagar, which is like the hub of startup. So what we realized was there are so many startups. There are unicorns and all those. But construction startup is always something that has not made its remark. Right? There is only LiveSpace, which has made that $1 billion valuation, now infra market. So what we realized was, of course, like an e-commerce or a fintech, like Cred or BharatPe, construction is not as fast as that. Construction is a slow process because one project only takes so much time. But what we realized is these 18, 19-year-old students have ideas, but technically they are not sound. But they know technology better than any other generation. So you tell them something, they'll hack into it or they'll download it in 1 second. They have a AI tool which does job for them. They know all these softwares and tools. So we thought, why not integrate? Right? So that is where that incubation idea came, where people with experience might be helping in running the business because they know how to run a business. People with no experience but 18, 19-year-olds know the technology behind making that process better. So if we help them convert their idea into start, because there is a huge amount of brain drain in construction, where the toppers, they go to MS in US, settle off, or they switch to IT because there is 6 lakh package over there. So this is one of the ways where we thought, if they are so passionate about startups, we'll push them to construction startups only. It might not be as lucrative. They might not be $100 million valuation in 2 days, like your other startups. But it gives them that passionate tinge where they can
their passion.
Correct.
Right.
Because end of the day, they all want to do startup. They don't care what startup. They want, when we talk to students, their eyes lighten up when we say startup, fundraising, because they see, I can make this money. Correct. So that is why we thought, why not push them into construction itself? But yeah, that is a challenge for sure. Huge challenge because, like I told, they have passion, they have the tech, but technically they are very poor. Like how a construction site works, they don't know. So I think that is something that we are trying to close the gap. Let's see how it goes at the end of the day. But yeah, so that's something that I wanted to absorb from you about MEP and about the awareness of MEP. Because for me, the biggest challenge always has been civil engineers not being aware of MEP, and sometimes even electrical engineers are not being aware of MEP, where both parties can actually be an advantage. If any faculty, if any decision maker is listening to this, they can kindly have at least like a workshop on MEP, if not
for
civil and electrical. Yes, if not a subject, because subject universities might not accept. Because one thing about universities is they take 5 years to change one topic in syllabus. so they might not accept it. But workshops on MEP is a must. It's something that I would like to tell anyone who is in a decision making role of a college. And one of the things that we have in our curriculum is MEP. Like we realized MEP and facility management, very, very important to teach because of the centralized AC community that is being built in metro cities. Correct. So great to have you here. It's been over an hour. Correct. It's an hour, but it didn't feel like an hour. Maybe when I saw the time, I was like, okay, it's an hour, but I didn't feel like it though. So it's great to absorb your knowledge, and definitely we'll have more sessions on MEP because we'll see how it goes and we'll look into it in terms of learning, in terms of more than anything awareness, because that is very huge. If it was site execution, we don't need to make students aware about it. Everyone knows site execution. But MEP as a career is something that a lot of students might be confused about, whether it's a good career, what can be done, what cannot be done, and what companies to go for. So these kind of questions, I think it's great to have an expert like you being a part of it. So thank you very much from Ascend, and hopefully we'll have multiple sessions. Let's say next on HVAC only.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening to Concrete Edtalks. This is me signing out, Niyant Vasisht, and we have Mr. Sreenath here who is signing out as well. So thank you, and see you in the next episodes.